Hey, Luminary, it's time for our first new moon of 2025, the Aquarius New Moon happening on Wednesday, January 29th. This is the new moon, the spark that you need to set a fresh intention for bold change through the power of your communities, shared values, and how you will participate in building the future you want to see. You are special. Your perspective is needed, and your one of a kind way of being and leading is needed now. You are safe and you belong. Do not let anyone else tell you otherwise. In this episode, I'm going to share with you why this Aquarius new moon is so important, why the Aquarius archetype is the archetype of social change and shared leadership. We're also going to talk about the astrology of this Aquarius new moon, and I'm going to offer you personalized horoscope activations for each sign and an invitation to AstroBrand 101, how to decode and liberate the symbols of your natal chart for change making. First of all, if you're a subscriber, thank you so much for joining me again. And if you're new here, welcome to Star Powered. I'm Leslie Tagorda, your host, a multiracial, multifaceted professional musician turned web designer turned astrologer. Astrology helped me overcome an identity crisis by revealing my star-powered strengths. Now I use these strengths to guide healers, entrepreneurs, and change makers like you in making your mark with ease and impact through astrology. If equitable leadership, making your mark, and astrology are also your jam, please subscribe to this channel and share it with an astrology-loving bestie. All right, friends, this is a new moon where 2025 really opens up and sparks anew. The Aquarius new moon always heralds in the Lunar New Year, celebrated by billions in Asia and now globally. Personally, for me, this is the beginning of my year. With the darkest days of winter, I'm in the Northern Hemisphere, now behind us. And as an Aquarius myself, I just love Aquarius season. So I really feel like coming out of hibernation of the holidays really happens when we have this new moon in Aquarius. Now, this is such an important part of the year because you've probably slowly been getting back into work, thinking about your vision. I know in my community, I just hosted a Vision Star Lab where we were putting together our vision of the new year because, like, who needs a plan if you don't have a vision? And how to align that vision with our own natal astrology, because why work against ourselves, right? If we look at Jupiter and the houses in our chart that Jupiter goes through, we can say that those areas of our life and our business and our leadership are the places that we want to expand. Where Saturn travels by house is the area in our life where we need to have more mastery and commitment and dedication. And of course, where Uranus is transiting through our chart by house shows us where we need to be open to taking those big leaps of change. And so when we take a look at our vision and align it with our own natal charts, then this is what I'm talking about when we can use our astrology for impact and ease, because we're no longer working against our stars, but we're working with it. And so as we were doing our Vision Star Lab, we were working at it at that fourth quarter moon. And so the disseminating light, the light is waning. And so I encouraged all of my community to do their vision, to look at the things that they wanted to create in their life, in their leadership, in their businesses, and wait till this new moon before we set an intention. Now, I'll come back to that intentions because having an intention and getting clear on what you want is one of the biggest markers of success. If you're just wandering around and floating with the wind and just saying, oh, I'll just go and be with the flow, sometimes you're going to get there. But oftentimes you're not. So having a vision, being flexible in that vision, and asking the universe for what you want is that set of intention. You're clarifying to the universe exactly what you want. And then your chances of getting it are much higher. even if it's not exactly how you planned. That's why I'm not a big fan of plans, because the more that you make a plan, sometimes you can make plans and just like serve as procrastination. You're just like planning all the little details and then just getting kind of stuck in the weeds, and then you never enact the plan. Have you ever done that before? Or sometimes you make a plan and you want to control all the details, and there's like this hyper vigilance, this hyper control, and then your plans don't go exactly as planned. And then, you're like totally off the rails because you're like, that's not what you planned. But, life doesn't work that way. And so I am not a fan for those kinds of plans. I like my plans that are super flexible, that are focused on kind of like, well, these are the three things that I'm going to do throughout the day. These are the three things that I'm going to do throughout the week. And so I have flexibility in terms of like how I'm going to execute those things. So, if you're a planner, I forgive you. But if you're not a planner, have a vision, have that end destination where you want, make sure that that's clear, and make sure you tell the universe that's an intention. We're going to talk more about the power of setting new moon intentions. Now, before I go into that, I just want to come back to kind of the Lunar New Year, because in China, they have like a whole nother version of astrology, Chinese astrology, of course. And this Lunar New Year brings in the year of the snake. Now, the snake, all the Chinese zodiacs, the 12 zodiacs, are based off of animals, and just like the Western tropical zodiacs, the different animals can either have a yin or a yang energy, like male or female. You can think of it that way. I don't really like to think of it male or female, but sometimes in Western astrology, if you kind of like connect the dots and like make symbolism there, we can do that. But the yang energy is the energy that is like very assertive and active and go gets it. And the yin energy is much more receptive energy. And the snake is absolutely a more yin energy. It's a little more still, it's a little more receptive. And the snake symbolizes wisdom and intuition and deep transformation. Now, I'm obviously not an expert in Chinese astrology, yet in Western tropical astrology, I absolutely see the connection. I see this year of 2025, a 9-year, a year of completions, but there's not completions and like there's an end. A completion is always a new beginning. And just like a snake, where you're molting your skin, shedding all of those layers of old identities, this year is asking you to shed, to molt all those old ways of being so that you can ignite a new way of bringing and being the light in this world. Now, we all need to be the light and bring in more light, especially when there's so many opposing energies trying to take away our light. And so this new moon is, however you do a new moon ritual or practice and bring your friends together, I really invite you to make time on this new moon, the day of the new moon, up to a couple of days afterwards, and create an intention, be with your friends, because this is a transition year. 2025 as a transition year, there's lots of ups and downs. We have Saturn going into Aries and coming back into Pisces. We have Neptune moving into Aries and coming back into Pisces. We have Uranus moving into Gemini and coming back to Taurus. All of this, like kind of dipping your toes in and coming back out, can really do a number on your emotional and your mental health. And so part of setting your intention is really to gain some inner clarity, to decide how you're going to take care of your mental, emotional, and spiritual and physical health, as much as it is to do that outer work of leadership and change and building your business. You have to do both that inner journey of taking care of your capacity and your energy, especially if you're wanting to grow and take those leaps of faith in your business. Now, this new moon in Aquarius asks you to call in your people. I'm calling this Aquarius new moon power to the people, power to the future. Because as I was sharing earlier, the energies of kind of like that darkness that are, at least in the United States, like chipping away at things, what they're doing first is chipping away at our fear, chipping away at our identity, chipping away at our security. And for those of us in the United States that are, of different colors, different identities, different sexual orientations, different gender identities, different states of documentation. Oh my goodness, this is a very, very stressful time. However, we cannot let those beings of darkness take away our light. And the way that we keep our light in, the way that we support each other is to be with people, to be connected to others, to our friends, our friends, our friends are family. Our friends are different than our family in terms of these are the people that we have chosen to be around because they share our same social values. Now, I feel so blessed that I live in San Francisco. I know that there's people who couldn't imagine living in San Francisco, but I'm a city girl at heart. And one of the things I love about being in San Francisco is I love the neighborhoods. I love that all my friends live here. And my friends, we have the same social values because we appreciate living in small, tight knit communities in our neighborhoods. We value walking to our places, like to school, to the grocery store. We value taking our bikes. We value coming together and meeting in the park. We value just all of the things, the community things that Fox News doesn't tell you, like the greatness of San Francisco. We have more public green spaces than anywhere else in the United States. Like it is so beautiful to be in San Francisco. It's such a beautiful city. Don't let the media tell you otherwise. And so I feel very grateful that I have all of these layers of community. And I've consciously chosen that as an Aquarius because I remember when I was young growing up as an only child in the suburbs, I felt super, super isolated. My parents didn't have too many friends. I had some friends at school that I didn't really get to hang out with that much. And I can remember just feeling so, so lonely. So I vowed to myself when I moved to San Francisco that I was going to reinvent myself and create all of these different communities. I have my mom's communities. I have my online communities that are global, my business communities. I have my spiritual communities. I have my friend communities. I am so lucky. And that took work. That took mindfulness to put myself out there to tell the universe that I wanted to be surrounded by people that I respected, who respected me, that I loved, that we had the same interests, that we had the same values. And I've gone through shifts in values and shifts in changes and shifts in identities. And yeah, people friends that I've grown out of relationships with, friends that I didn't evolve along with me. It's okay if you and your values have changed and the people around you haven't changed. It is time to shake up your communities. And to shake up your communities, remember, if you watched my trends for 6 trends for entrepreneurs and change makers in 2025, one of those was really with Uranus moving into Gemini, is to shake up the people that your like-minded people, your communities, who you spend time with, getting to know people that can introduce you and open doors up for you, getting to know people that have skills that you want to learn, getting to know people who need your skills. Because sometimes if you've been running a business like I have for a long time, your soul customers are going to shift and change because you're going to want to change what you're teaching. Your message might have changed. The things that you want to share have changed. Your skills have changed. And so you're constantly going through this kind of molting and change, and it's okay. That's what we're supposed to do. And so this new moon, as you're thinking about your people and your communities that you want to shake up, this first means that you have to know yourself deeply. right? When we think about knowing yourself, yes, that has to do with Aries and knowing your identity, but it also has to do with Aquarius and feeling so proud about your uniqueness, your differences, your one of a kindness, not feeling ashamed and trying to fit in and copy, and just really knowing yourself so deeply and being proud of exactly who you are. If you're pretending to be other people, if you're pretending and hiding parts of yourself, guess what kind of people you're going to be calling in? You're going to be calling in people that don't value you for your unique self. They're going to only value you for who you're pretending to be. That's not a stable relationship. And you're only going to be calling in kind of like the fakers, because if you're pretending to be somebody else, well, you know what? You're faking it too. And so to know yourself, to have pride in who you are, to have pride in all of your differences, just I can just imagine like going back as the little Aquarius child, like I was not proud of who I was. I was always trying to fit in because I didn't fit in. I was, and I think I've told this story to you before, but like in my Filipino family, I was always like talked about as the whitey because like I was half white. In my Jewish family, I was like the brown person and didn't meet my grandfather. I had freckles and curly hair, and there was nobody else in my elementary school. Oh my gosh, I wish I could have just disappeared. But now it took me a long time, but I've gotten to the place where I really love that I'm a self proclaimed weirdo playing the clarinet, loving astrology, being super woo woo, keeping my hair silvery and white instead of trying to cover it up. And it shows because I present myself as authentically me. And as I present myself authentically me, people are drawn to that. And so my friends, am filled and surrounded with a community of diverse friends, all ages, all ethnicities, all social backgrounds. It's just so wonderful. And so when you know yourself, when you surround yourself with the people with shared values, when you participate in your communities online, your local communities, your school communities, whatever communities you belong in, I want you to be proud of all of your differences, your quirks, your unique take on the world, because we need your perspective. So, what does it mean to lead like an Aquarius? Let's look at this archetype of the change maker and how Aquarius energy inspires all of us to have our own unique perspective. Aquarius is the energy that calls us to innovate, create social impact, and bring communities together through shared social values. Now, I know innovation and uniqueness get thrown around, making it kind of like just so passe. But when I say innovate, what I really am meaning is to see or do things in a different way. Innovation doesn't always mean getting the newest high tech gadget or disrupting things. Oftentimes, innovation can be like in times now where we're giving more value to Indigenous stewards who've taken care of the land. We're going back to Indigenous stewards and scientists and saying, hey, how can we manage this land, manage the resources, create connections back to the land? And seeing ourselves as part of creation instead of separate and domineering to the land and our original caretaker. Yeah, that's innovation, because sometimes we are returning back to ancient technologies and making them new in our modern world. And so I want you to realize that that word innovation isn't just again about disruption, but sometimes it's just refashioning and rechanging a perspective of something that once was for new use again. Now, of course, Aquarius is the archetype of the change maker, the humanitarian, the visionary, and the forward thinker who leads simply by seeing differently and being different. This energy is not about blending in. It is about standing out. How do you do things differently? How do you see things differently? How is your existence, your one of a kind existence, needed in this world? As a fixed sign, Aquarius leans into logic and intellect and big ideas. It knows the facts and it wants to be right. It knows its unusual details and it's going to stand by it. And it's going to present cutting edge data that no one has ever seen before. And as an air sign, yes, it's still intellectual, but more than intellectual, air signs are social, where Aquarius is social because it wants to create relationships with the many, with the people. It wants to connect through boundary pushing ideas and shared social values and the love of being an early adopter. Now, the other signs, Gemini sticks to its nearby neighborhoods and its little communities that are close by, and Libra focuses on bridge building and bonding over one-to-one relationship dynamics. But Aquarius takes it to the macro level. Your platforms, your networks, your social movements, your collective causes. Yes, this is Aquarius energy. And we all have that. We all need to feel that we're part of something greater, your collective cause. What are your social values? What is the vision of the future that you want to create that is good, that is equitable for all? The Aquarius energy is deeply interested in people, not necessarily their emotions or their deep secrets, but what makes them tick, what makes their mind go, ooh, what is their unique niche interests, their intellectual pursuits, and their unique contributions to the whole. And so I just love Aquarius energy because it really changes the perspective. And wherever you have Aquarius by house, shows you exactly where your perspective on that area is a little bit different. So, to lead with your Aquarius energy, maybe you have an Aquarius sun or a moon or a rising or a midheaven. Maybe you have an Aquarius stellium. Yeah, you're here to contribute the way that you see things differently into the world to spark change, and remembering that this change is not just for the few, but it's for all. Let's take a look at the astrology of this Aquarius new moon, because we have both an Aquarius party with Pluto, Mercury, and the new moon. And then we also have a Pisces party with the soulful presence of Venus, Neptune, Saturn, and the North Node. This new moon holds a beautiful imprint for social transformation. Let's break it down. All right. So our Aquarius new moon happens on Wednesday, January 29th at 4:35 a.m. Pacific. I have this chart drawn from San Francisco where I live, so disregard the houses for now. We won't be talking about that as the house positions might change depending on where you live. Now, the Aquarius new moon, the sun and the moon meet at 9 degrees and 51 minutes. When we think about the new moon, remember this is a fresh start. We get this fresh start once a month when the sun and the moon meet. We can't see this new moon in the sky because it is the dark moon. And it is a time of planting seeds, of getting clear on what you want. So as we talk about the astrology of the new moon, I want to ask the questions of how I hear the stars asking us, what they're asking us to plant, to answer as we think about the change that we want to create in the world. And so, first of all, we have this Aquarius party. We have a little stellium with the sun and the moon, Mercury, and Pluto in Aquarius. Now, Pluto is firmly in Aquarius. It's not shifting back into Capricorn. Yay, Pluto firmly in Aquarius. And this at its core is about social change. This is about dismantling old ways of society, old ways of the shadow parts of technology, of high tech, transforming how we get together, how we connect, and what society is going to look like. Now, for all of us with Pluto and Aquarius, it's like, who are the people that we want to surround ourselves with? Who can we empower? Who empowers us to be better? Mercury, the planet of communications, the planet to understand information, the planet to express ourselves. When Mercury is in Aquarius, Mercury's thoughts are electric. They are speedy, they are different, they are eclectic. It's looking for like the niche of the niche. Maybe you're into sci-fi. Maybe you're not only into sci-fi, but you're into sci-fi that is only about plants. I love this set of semiosis. I've been really into sci-fi lately and just really loving it so much. And then this new moon in Aquarius, really all the things that I was talking about earlier about how do we come together? How do you become a leader for the people by contributing into your societies? And so when we have this Aquarius party here, the question that I hear this Aquarius planetary party have asking is, how do you want to be part of a new cycle? Right? Because we're talking about new cycles here. Aquarius new moon is a new cycle. How do you want to be part of a new cycle to share power, share your message, and share others' messages to shake up your communities? Okay, I'll say that again. How do you want to be part of a new cycle to share power, share your message, and share others' messages to shake up your communities? And so this is definitely this way of advocating, using your voice, sharing your thoughts, sharing your opinions, sharing the messages of people that you admire. Because when you share other people's voices, you're helping spread the news, you're helping empower that other person's voice, and maybe they will do the same. And so using your opinions and your thoughts to really bring your people together, bring in your communities. So who are the people that you want to be surrounded with? What kind of communities do you want to shake up? And what, of your communities, how do you want to shake it up? And how are you going to update and really like empower your message doing this? Okay. Now, the Pisces party includes the Aquarius ruler, the traditional ruler of Saturn. Saturn rules both Capricorn and Aquarius, where Saturn in Capricorn, ruling Capricorn, is like, let's create the box, let's create the systems, let's create everything so things are running with control and power. Let's, create things so that there's form and function. And then Saturn ruling Aquarius is like, well, I know the rules so well that I'm going to break the rules. I'm going to liberate myself from the rules. Okay, so Saturn in Capricorn likes to make the rules. Saturn in Aquarius likes to break the rules. But Saturn is still hanging out in Pisces. It's going to get all the way to Aries this year, but it's going to dip back into Pisces. And so Saturn in Pisces, over the last couple of years, we have still been mastering what it means to be compassionate, self-compassionate. And so maybe your old way of kind of doing things was, well, once I finish my work, I will take care of myself. But in this Aquarian age, it's like, when I have taken care of myself, then I can get to my work. And so remember, Saturn is telling you, take care of yourself first. Prioritize self-compassion, prioritize your self-care. And then Venus, Neptune, and the North Node, they are in this tight conjunction. The two planets that connect and blend. Venus loves to connect people and resources to allow you to thrive. And Neptune allows you to be the drop in the ocean. Okay, all of these energies are interconnected. They bind and bond and bring people together, soul communities together, because this is Pisces this is Pisces energy. soul communities. The ocean is vast. And our North Node, now firmly in Pisces, our collective soul purpose to unite, to bond, to appreciate everybody for their differences, and to see that we need all of these perspectives coming together. How can we work towards a shared social good that is for all instead of only good for a select few? And so this Pisces energy here with Venus, Neptune, and the North Node coming together is binding us together, is unifying us all together. And the question with this Pisces party is asking us, how is soul connection and courageous compassion part of your new cycle? Okay. Soul connection, courageous compassion, unity. How is that part of this new cycle? Now, let's take a look at Uranus, because Uranus is the modern ruler of Aquarius, and Uranus is still hanging out at Taurus. It's going to get all the way to Gemini this year, but it's going to come back into Taurus by the end of the year. And right now, Uranus in Taurus is making a beautiful sextile to Mars and a sextile to the unity, the soul communities, the soul interconnectedness with Venus, Neptune, and the North Node here. This again, to me, is just reinforcing the symbolism of shaking up your communities, because Uranus is here to revolutionize and awaken. It wants us to take those quantum leaps forward. It wants us to break free and liberate ourselves. And so we also still have Mars in retrograde that's in Cancer. And it's really asking us to understand how we need to advocate for the rights of women, the rights of people who are underrepresented, who might not have a voice. Remember, Cancer doesn't have a voice. And so in your communities, how can you shake up by advocating for other people's safety who might not really be safe at this time? And so when we're looking at Uranus, this is asking us, how will your communities come together to advocate for compassion and safety for the most vulnerable, for those who don't have a voice, but also for Mother Earth, our original caregiver, right? Because this is still Taurus energy. Taurus and Cancer, to me, are really representative of Mother Earth. Okay. So Uranus asks us, how will your communities come together to advocate for compassion and safety for Mother Earth and the most vulnerable? Why does this have to be a revolutionary act? Why does this have to be a radical question to advocate and care for Mother Earth and the most vulnerable? It's crazy to me. So let's not make it so radical and so crazy. Let's just make it second nature to be loving and kind. And maybe that's the innovation right there, is to be loving and kind. That is the innovation, because we felt so separated, and like the society has told us that there's not enough. And so we feel separated. We have to hoard what's our own. And to innovate this is to say, hey, we are stronger together. There's more than enough when we can advocate for Mother Earth and the most vulnerable. Now, the last aspect that I want to talk about for this particular new moon is this square between Mars and Aries. Now, Mars in Cancer and Chiron in Aries. To me, this is all about belonging. Okay. Aries in Chiron and Aries is, we talked a lot about that last year when we had our eclipses, that eclipse that was conjunct with the Aries Chiron. This is really about, is it safe to be? At the core of what Chiron and Aries is asking us, is it safe to be me? Is it safe to exist? And if you're a privileged, blessed person, yeah, your safety, if you're listening to this, you are more than likely a privileged person, and you are safe in the truth of it all, you are safe. Now, maybe you're not. A lot of my friends in my neighborhood are not safe. I have friends that are, same sex couples with children. I also oftentimes do not feel safe as a brown woman that has Jewish ancestry. So, there's all kinds of different levels of safety. But to me, this Chiron in Aries is reminding us you are safe. And this square to this to Mars in Cancer, there's this kind of energy that is trying to nag at us and saying, hey, you're not safe, you're not safe, you're not safe. But this is, to me, this is not truth. Okay, this is the lies of the media, the lies of like the darkness that is, doing crazy things right now, that I won't really get into. But remember that Mars in Cancer wants to protect. Okay. It wants to protect its safety. It wants to protect its family. And if we can expand that, knowing that we are safe, our families are safe, that we are here to protect also the safety for others who don't have voices, who might be vulnerable. And so this particular Mars in Cancer squaring Chiron in Aries is really reminding us, how are you going to protect your own safety through emotional regulation? Okay. There's going to be all these things coming at us. There are all these things already coming at us that are pushing us to be scared, that are pushing us to separate ourselves from other people. Okay. But we have to practice that inner sense of emotional regulation, emotional security. Again, that self-care practices to remind ourselves to create our inner peace so that we know that we are safe and secure during these times when the dark ones want us to be scared. Okay. So this is a reminder. It's simply a reminder. How are you going to practice keeping your nervous system and your emotions regulated so that you feel emotionally safe and secure at this time? Okay. So lots going on in the symbolism of the astrology of this Aquarius new moon. All right. Before we get into the new moon horoscopes, and I'm going to be doing them a little bit differently this time, we're going to be looking at them as activations. I first want to invite you to my first public training of 2025. It's called AstroBrand 101. I used to call this class Written in the Stars, but now I'm calling it officially AstroBrand 101 because that's exactly what it needs. AstroBrand 101 is a 5-day training where you are going to decode the symbols of your natal chart from a change-making and leadership lens. Your natal chart is the key to unlocking your strengths, your worthiness, your values, and your leadership potential to make your mark in this world. During our 5-day training, I'm going to help you see your natal chart in a unique, one-of-a-kind perspective. We're going to decode and liberate the symbols of your natal chart so that you can see it through equitable leadership. No fear mongering, no binary takes on things. We are going to open up and expand your perspective of astrology through the AstroBrand way. Now, the AstroBrand way is a method that was presented to me after all of my years of branding and web design, where I could start to see how they related to key points in our natal chart. I have a certification and a bunch of different AstroBrand trainings. And so if you want to learn how to find your brand position, find your brand voice, find your brand style, AstroBrand 101 is the foundational course you need. So if you're interested in learning the AstroBrand way and becoming certified with mentorship and training, this is the course that you are going to need first and foremost. So this class is now open. It's going to be from March 10th through March 14th for AstroBrand 101. Head on over to my site, starpowered.com /101 to sign up and get the details. I've been teaching this class for over 4 years. I've had so many people retake this class over and over again, opening up to the next deeper level of understanding. It's beautiful to witness and take together. All right, let's get to these new moon activations. I want to share with you, how does the Aquarius new moon activate your chart so that you can get inspired with personalized insights for your change-making intentions with this new moon. I'm going to do something a little bit differently today when we talk about our new moon activations. Usually, if you've heard me do a new moon episode before, I'll talk about the different areas, the different houses of your chart that's being activated so that you can plant the seeds of intention in that area of your business, or your business or your leadership or your work or your life. Because if you go throughout the entire year and you plot all of those new moons, you're going to see that those new moons almost always go through each one of your houses. And when you look at it from this holistic level throughout an entire year, you get to create a fresh intention for each part of your life based on the houses. Now, I'm going to be doing this a little bit differently, but I want you to open up your mind and just really hear the downloads and the sparks that come to you as I share the different activations for each sign. All right. And what I want to talk about today when we think about our activations is that, yes, we are planting the seeds for community, for power to the people, for making change, for seeing things differently in our perspectives and building out the future. But creating the future that you want, being uniquely you, is an act of resistance. What I mean by the act of resistance is that we are opposing all of the forces that are coming at us to take away our rights, to take away our freedoms, to take away the power of our voices. Being me, being you is an act of resistance. Now, to be resistant, I'm talking to you, Taurus and Scorpios and Aquariuses and Leos. Right? To be resistant is like, I don't want to change. Everything is just fine. But Aquarius says change is constant. We are going to have change. So instead of being resistant and saying no to everything, I want you to embrace this idea of resistance and really opposing things that are taking our power and our voice away. So I'm going to be looking at these activations as acts of resistance. So as you are thinking of your intention of what you want to create, maybe you're going to put together a vision board. Maybe you're going to bring your friends together to create your dreams. I know in my community, I'm bringing my community together so that we can plant our seeds of intention. But this seeds of intention, again, to build the better future, to spark social good through your participation in community. What is your act of resistance? So for Aries, your act of resistance is resistance through community. Being with your friends, being in community, being together is your act of resistance. Remember, you are not a lone wolf doing things by yourself. Doing things together is your act of resistance and how you spark social good. So what does that look like for you? For my Taurus friends, your act of resistance to spark social change is resistance through taking up space. So what does that look like for you to take up space? Where have you been hiding or not expressing your needs or your emotions? How have you been keeping small or not playing big? Your act of resistance to spark social change and to contribute as a leader is to take up space. For my Gemini friends, Your active resistance is resistance through purpose, to be purpose led, to ensure that you're creating more good in the world through aligning your values into what you do so that you are going after your big dreams and living your purpose instead of living the way that other people told you you should do, instead of following the rules just because you thought you were supposed to. What is your purpose? Knowing your purpose. Resistance is your purpose to spark social good. What does that mean for you? For my Cancer friends, your sparking social change is resistance is empowerment. How is you knowing your power, knowing your value, knowing your worth, knowing your privilege? How is that an act of resistance? Do you have enough power to share with others, to build to build and empower others who might not have as much privilege as you? How can you spark social change through empowerment? Empowerment is your resistance. For my Leo friends, your resistance is partnership. So similar as the Aries, where resistance is their community, for you, Leo, it is collaboration. What more can you do when you're building bridges, when you're crossing over lines, when you're building unity, when you're doing things together in relationship? How will you spark social change in partnership? How will you participate in social change and community in partnership? Leo, this is not for you to take up all the limelight and hog all the energy. It is here to share in partnership. So for Leo, your activation is how will you resist in partnership? For my Virgo friends, your resistance to spark social good is through service to others. I know, Virgo, service to others. You're like, yes, that is my act of leadership. It is also your act of resistance. When you can be of more service to others, when you can change the systems that allow others to feel more included and safe, that is how you spark social good. So, what does that look like for you? For my Libra friends, your active resistance to spark social good is resistance through pleasure. Absolutely. When you take care of your fun, your joy, your creativity, you receiving and experiencing pleasure is an act of resistance. So, how are you going to spark social good through experiencing and creating pleasure for yourself and others? What does that look like? For my Scorpio friends, your act of resistance is, of course, emotional security. To spark social good in this world is to help empower others to feel safe, to be a safe haven, to create services of safety for others, to make and help people feel emotionally secure. Maybe this is offering therapy to others. Maybe this is offering consulting or counseling to others to make people feel safe, held, and heard. Your emotional security is also just as important. So, what does this look like for you when you feel emotionally secure, when you're creating emotional security for others? How does this spark social change? For my Sagittarius friends, for you, your active resistance, of course, is advocacy. To spark social good means to speak up and share the way and your perspective, and to share information, to share communications, to share wisdom with others, to inspire others through a brilliant message. Your resistance is advocacy, speaking up and giving voice to people who may be unheard, underrepresented. Advocate. What does that look like for you? For my Capricorn friends, your act of resistance in creating social good is through shared resources. And so shared resources can look like, giving money, sharing money, donating wealth. It could also be about how helping others create resources and, distributing wealth and resources in different ways. This is about your physical, tangible values that there is more than enough to be shared. So for you, Capricorns, to spark social good through your leadership and social change, how can you use and create shared resources as your act of resistance? For my Aquarius friends, your act of resistance is getting things started. Yes, catalyzing things, initiating things, sparking things, sending those invitations, opening up the doors, holding somebody's hand. Get things started, because getting things started isn't always easy. And sometimes we just need that little flame to start. Not saying to start a fire, I'm saying start a metaphorical fire here, so that getting things started is your act of resistance. You can get help with follow through, but getting things started is the way that you can spark social good through your leadership. And lastly, for my Pisces, to spark social good in this world, your resistance is rest. Absolutely. Like we said earlier, at this Pisces party and this new moon, the more that you can increase your capacity by taking good care of yourself, to getting enough rest, to compassionately taking self-care for yourself, this is your act of resistance. Rest first, and then you'll have the capacity to do the change making work that you are here to do. So, what does this look like to create rest and ease in your life to spark social good? Ah, I hope you are all inspired with these acts of resistance so that you can spark community and change and build a better future for all through your one of a kind leadership. Well, my friends, if you've made it this far, thank you so much for listening, because this Aquarius new moon, such a potent new moon for the beginning of 2025, our first new moon, this is your chance to spark the change that you want to see in the world, to paint the vision of the future you want to be part of and that you want to participate in. To participate means to take an active role, to do things in your communities, both locally and further out. This change starts with you. Your choice to know your unique way of difference, of making a difference by being different, by being a change maker, by being a leader. Yeah, I'm talking to you. You are here to spark the light within yourself and within others, to shine brightly in your own unique way. Remember, your choice to shine brightly is to contribute into your community, only what you uniquely can do. This contribution calls in your people, invites your people, speaks up and advocates for others so that you can and they can be heard on those social values that are most important to you. Do not be afraid. You don't have to be afraid, because you are never alone. This shine and light and difference that you are making is how you make your mark, how you change the world. First, starting within, then changing one person, then your circle of friends, and then your community, and then building the future you want to see. This is your chance. You don't want to miss making an intention on this new moon. I know I'll be creating intentions both with my community. If you want to join in on creating intention with others, go to my website, starpower.com, and join in for our community building. And maybe invite some friends over for a night of vision setting and intention setting this new moon. This is the perfect new moon to gather with friends. All right, my friend, till more. Talk to you soon. As a human design projector, my energy shines more brightly because of people like you who share my work. If you enjoy this podcast and want to help build a movement of innovative astrology and leadership and spark the intuitive revolution, please rate and review this podcast on Apple Podcasts, or better yet, share this podcast with your change-making besties. We will all shine brighter together as we create the future we want to see.